Alright, so in this tutorial I'm gonna go over modeling this cute and chubby mushroom. Right? I have a couple of versions, got this one and this one, okay? And in here I have this one partially rigged to show that, you know, it's animatable. It's modeled clean enough so that it can be rigged and animated fairly simple. So for example, if I scrub it, you notice that it bends. Zoom in. The topology is clean, right? This is what I mean by topology, so that you know, it bends and deforms correctly, even though this is super simple. Ignore this part. I didn't want to bother painting weights. Yeah, so something to look forward to. Alright, I'm gonna just hide this, hide that. I'm gonna center this. This is a different variant, right? Slightly different, where it has a bit of a more of a neck line like that. Okay, so I'm gonna start on this, but before I start on that, there's some things I want to mention, right, when it comes to modeling. So there's some broader things to think about, things to consider ahead of time. So be aware of important landmarks for your model. For example, you have this little seam line, right? Because underneath it, it has a different part of the body for the mushroom. I don't know what these are, but it's definitely there. There's a transition. And also for texturing this model, because having this seam line, right, it helps to get the border, so you can color red, and over here you color white, you know, when you do the UV mapping. And then there's also this seam line over here at the stem, where the head connects to the neck, right? That's the other thing to think about. Then also broadly thinking about the spacing, right? These two are kind of different, but you notice the spacing is still clean and even, right? And there's like a balance to it, because that leads to, you know, spacing between the faces and rows. It leads to good UV mapping, and which in return leads to better texture painting, and that also correlates to rigging, right? Because these are the bones, and that it bends nicely like an accordion, which I gave this example. That all has to do with topology and just a clean model, modeling the right way. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna begin. I'm gonna show the image planes, and the image planes will show that if I were to lower it down, there's a size discrepancy. Right? It's a hassle to start modeling and things don't line up, and it's an easy fix. What you want to do is, let's say I'm gonna select this guy. I can press R for scale. I'm gonna scale it from the center, right here, that center. I'll pull it up so you see that it is matching. Right, well, that one's nearly matching, so, and I'm gonna yank it up. So now it says flush right there, right? That's all I did. So that's this part right here, right? How it's not matching. Then now it's matching, like I just showed. And then you lift up the image plane so it's flush and flush to the grid. Yeah, because I don't want it in the middle anymore, because it's just annoying to deal with, to look at. So, you know, just in case, the way you do it, you grab like the front, you go to attribute editor, and then you set it to in all views, right? And that's how you do it. And you do the same thing, set to in all views. Another thing I want to mention about is that when you're modeling this in the front or the orthographic, this is going to be super bright, where the white gets in the way of your model. For example, I'm going to turn on the demo file, press 1. You notice that it's super green and bright, and this is also super bright and white. and they kind of conflict, and it's just annoying to deal with, you know, especially when you model more complicated things. So basically, I'm showing how to dull it down, the image plane. So what you do is you grab it, one of the image planes, you go to the attribute editor, you go to the color gain, make sure you're set to in all views, not through this, but in all views, because you can't really see the change, it doesn't update as much for whatever reason. Tone it down like that. Then I'm gonna grab this one, I'm also gonna tone it down so it's duller. See? So now you can see better. Even right now you could tell right off the bat, you can see better. Alright, so that's that. Next, what I did. Right now we're gonna go back and we're gonna reset it, meaning say the front view, right? Because you can see it in the 3D world, right? It kind of gets in the way. And I'm gonna set it to look through camera and set to front. I'm gonna grab my top orthographic image plane, set it to look through camera, set it to top, like I discussed before in class. Then what I did was I grabbed all of the image planes, I dumped it into a display layer right in here, named it, and you set it to reference so that you can't accidentally grab onto it. Let me fix this. God damn. Right, so you can't accidentally grab onto the image plane. So that's what I did. And you name it. Name the image planes as well, front and top. Next, and I want to talk about this. I'm gonna build it with a sphere. I think the last time in class I might have built it with a cylinder, but this time around we're gonna build it with a sphere because it's just easier in this sense. So I'm gonna make a sphere, polygon modeling shelf, sphere. Press F to frame into it. Now, what I want to also mention is the default sphere has a whole lot of faces that is not necessary for this mushroom. It's a simpler model. I got a whole bunch of lines and vertices I don't want to deal with. It's just overkill, basically, is what I'm saying. It's overkill. You have to deal with all these edges and vertices. So we're going to reduce it down to this size. As you can see, it's less hectic looking. And that's also going to be less hectic to deal with when modeling as well. You select it, go into its inputs in the channel box, click it right here, that one right there, set this to 12 and 12, right? Then I'm going to have it sitting on top of the grid over here. See, it's flush. Height baseline -1. Because I'm just sick and tired of it being in the middle of the 3D grid. So then, reason why you also do this, right, where you reduce the resolution, polygon count, is because it's practical for modeling, right? Less is more, unless you have a more detailed and complicated subject matter right off the bat, right? Because it depends on each situation, right? So with that being said, it's practical for modeling, it's practical for UV mapping. This is another one. Because imagine if you try to skin fillet all these lines when you learn to UV map. It's a nightmare, but this is so much less, it's better to deal with. Then it's also, having less is optimal for rigging, okay? It's also optimal if you want to put this in a game engine later on. Alright, so I gave my reasons. Let's begin. We did that. A couple of hotkeys to quickly go over. 3 is for smooth preview. 1 is for default. Right. 4 is for wireframe. 5 is for shaded. Alt 5, toggling it, is for wireframe unshaded. And in the viewport, right, so for example front, then you want to have your X-ray on, that guy right there. Top view, have your X-ray on. Maybe just turn that off. You want that one on. And also you want to turn on the anti-alias sampling to make the lines crisp. Alright, I talked about that before. Next, so here we are. I'm looking here, I'm looking here. I'm gonna scale it big. I'm gonna use my top view for right now. Press R. I'm gonna scale from the center, that guy right there. Don't grab this, don't grab that, don't grab that, because it does that kind of junk. Grab from the center. Pump it up, big, 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 big. Press 3, so I can kind of see it smooth. Bam. That's good. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up, right, so that the midline, you see the midline of the sphere, it matches with the widest point of the mushroom's head. That's another strategy to consider ahead of time. Press W in my front view. I'm going to jack it up right around here. Right around there maybe. See? This part is fine, I don't care. Right. So we did that. Oh, now I gotta be in the front. Convert the sphere to a face components. Right click and hold. Choose face. Delete the lower half. Marquee select out here. Click and drag. Select that. Press the backspace so you can wipe it out. That's what I just did. Then I moved the pivot point, because right now it's here. I moved it up to here. To move the pivot point to the base floor of the halved mushroom, or should I say halved sphere, typo, press D once. D as in David. Press it once, just once. It's a live gizmo tool. Now it's a live gizmo. And then now I'm gonna hold V as in Victor. Hold, see, watch this. Hold V as in Victor, because it's gonna raise and snap it. Grab the arrow, snap it. Let go. Right. Press W to get out of the live pivot tool. Now it's good. Alright. Then what I did was, if you can see here, see how it's flush to the ceiling? I use a scale tool and I cranked on the cube that's up here. Not here, here, that one. Press R as in, press over here, R as in Robert. Push that down, pop. That guy right there, see? That's good. Do an incremental save. Control Alt S for incremental save. Alright, so another thing I want to mention is you could sometimes when you're first learning, you could accidentally keyframe things. If you have this going on, right, this needs to be fixed right away. So what you do is, let's say because it happens when you press S as in Sam by accident. I'm going to mimic it. I'm going to highlight all of it, meaning middle mouse, click and drag, right click on it, right afterwards, break connections. Bye bye. So now it's gone. See, break connections, it's clean. Alright, so let me delete that. I don't need that. That's a copy. Alright, so we did that, but you notice I have a whole bunch of data. I need to freeze transforms because this can cause problems later on, right? Especially if your model is like off the center line. So I'm gonna go and freeze transform. Polymodeling tools right here, the shelf, right? Freeze transform. It's a snowflake icon. Boom, gone. Clean. Right there. Next, I'm going to spacebar, press F to frame and focus. Press 1 for the low poly. Get rid of my goddamn grid. Right click, go to edge mode, right? I'm gonna double click. See, double click to quickly select. I'm gonna do extrusion. Shift right click and hold, extrude edge. But I don't care for the floating menu, right? In this modeling, I don't need it, right? And I'm not gonna use the gizmo either. See, there's a reason why. because let's see. So let's say if I were to use thickness, see, I don't want to deal with that. Let's say local translate, again I don't want to deal with that. If I even click on the on off switch for world, see, it still does it. Local translate, it still does it, and I don't want to deal with that. So what I'm going to do is just press R for scale, the regular scale tool, but my extrude edge function is still active. So all I have to do is pull, and I'm going to pull in like this much. See, we're extruding in, right, using the scale tool, like that much. The reason why I'm going to do that is I want a big fat area here, because I'm going to do a bevel around this to add give it a lip, right? So we do like this much, and around there. Let's see, we just did that right now. Next, I want to select this ring, the outermost ring. Double click, right? Because I'm going to give it a lip. And the way I'm going to do it, this lip is doing a bevel. So from here, shift right click, bevel. Right. If for whatever reason your bevel is acting up, right, shift right click and hold bevel edge option box, because you just never know. Reset, and then apply, close. And as for refraction, I guess this is okay, right? I mean, it's pretty much identical. All right, maybe a little bit more, something like that. So we just made that. Click outside. Now this huge thing that I just made, right? Because I pulled it in this much because it affects how much it bevels. Okay, that's why we put it in. But now I'm gonna double click this hole, right? Where I this hole, I double click it, press R. Don't get that right now. What I want to do is I'm going to scale it back outward again. Right, there's a reason why. Right, just trust me. Right around here. See, now we have that. Pushed it out. We scaled it back out. We beveled it, right? But then now I got the inner ring and I pushed it back out. See. All right. And then from there, what we're gonna do is, I just wanted to get that little spacing, right? Now I'm gonna just go and extrude in here, this one. I'm gonna extrude in that. I have this face, which is this, but I also need this face, which we're gonna extrude in. We're in edge mode, shift right click, shift right click, extrude edge. Again, I don't want to use the gizmos. I'm gonna just press R as in Robert. I'm gonna pull on this. Okay. Alright, so we have that now. Alright, so we did all of that. Press W to get out of the scale tool. I don't want to mess with it. Press 3. Alright, so we did that. Yeah, I kind of don't like this, but we'll fix this afterwards. Or, you know, it's already been almost 20 minutes. I think maybe I'm tempted to fix that. Let's double click that, right? You see how it's broad, and then tight, right? I'm just gonna put it down a bit. Okay, so I have a nice little round. Right, all I did was put it down. This part is not in the steps, okay? Right, it's not in the steps. So all I did was pull it down to get a nice little roundness, nice and plump. That's all I did. So I'm gonna cut the video now. It's been 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna make a part 2. And part 2, we're gonna push the stem down. All right.